Hello, my name is Mike. I am a chaplain with Trinity of Christ Ministries, as well as a relationship coach specializing in infidelity and intimacy. Um, Today we're going to talk a little bit about a question that is often asked is, should I remain friends with my ex? And while this seems like a good request, it seems like kind of the right thing to do that, you can remain friends. Now, of course, if you have children together, you absolutely should try to be amicable with each other, and get along as much as possible to make things easy, especially for the children. But outside of that, if there is no children involved, and um, we often get asked, you know, well, isn't it the right thing to do to remain friends? And while, yes, that is technically, I guess, true, there can also be some detrimental consequences to remaining friends with, an ex. So let's talk about some of the reasons why it might not be a good idea for some people. Um, First of all, ask yourself, why do they want to remain friends? Well, this is probably many different reasons, but to be quite honest, most of them are probably selfish reasons. Um, Lots of people who end a marriage relationship want to remain friends to ease their guilt. Um, by easing their guilt, it makes them feel a lot better for what they are doing and going through, especially if they wronged you and they're feeling guilty about it. Uh, by remaining friends, it kind of takes some of the burden off of their heart. Uh, So it eases the guilt that they have for breaking up the relationship. Um, Another reason is emotional attachment. Even though this person may have ended the marriage or ended the relationship because of one reason or the other, it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you. They very well probably do have feelings for you, especially if this relationship went on for, a very long length of time. It's almost impossible to be married to someone for, a few years and not feel anything for this person. So it's probably, also has to do with an emotional attachment. People tend to get emotionally attached to people. So just because they ended the relationship doesn't necessarily mean that, they're completely over you and have no feelings for you. Uh, but you need to understand that in many cases, and I'm not by any means suggesting in all cases, but in many cases, uh, it's not a real friendship because they're not wanting to maintain a friendship because they want a friend. They're maintaining this friendship because it is meeting their emotional needs and not yours. Um, this friendship, you know, as I said earlier, makes them feel better about themselves. It eases their heartbreak. Um, the problem with remaining friends with an ex, and it can sound like a great idea. Well, well, sure, we should remain friends. We have known each other for a long time, and some people are able to pull that off. And I'm by no means saying you shouldn't, but you need to be careful to understand if you're being manipulated, because some people want to remain friends for their benefit, not for your benefit. This causes prolonged healing on your part if you're going through a heartbreak, if it was a hard ending to a marriage or a very long relationship. This can very well translate to a lot of naturally heartache for you. Uh, and this is going to prolong that healing process because you're remaining in constant contact with this person. And it's not for you, it's for them. So you really need to think about if that's really the route you want to take when you want to, still be friends. Now, it's very easy to say yes to this because lots of cases you will still have strong feelings for this person. So you don't want to break complete contact with this person because every time you have a little talk with this person or communication, it gives you just a little hope that maybe things can work out, that maybe they'll see the light. Maybe God will speak to them and they will come back to you. Um, it one thing you really don't need to do is uh, suspend your life and start comparing everyone else you meet to this person. Uh, this is not going to do you any good. Uh, it's going to make things worse. Everybody is their own person. You often hear somebody that was cheated on or betrayed, and this person says, "Well, I hate all men or I hate all women, and I'm never going to date anybody again." And you can't judge everybody from one person's actions. We're all different people. Just because one person done something terrible to you and broke your heart doesn't mean the next person will. It's natural as human beings for us to feel that way, but we really don't need to go down that path if we need to think about it and realize that everyone's different. Everyone has a different, personality traits. Everyone sees a relationship in a different light. Everyone treats people differently in a relationship. So we can't judge everybody else just because one person was, you know, a bad partner, a bad relationship. Um, it's also known as kind of like what we call in coaching as a half and half. Uh, this person is half and half, meaning they're halfway in the relationship, they're halfway out of the relationship. There's no full commitment there. They string you along by believing that there's still a chance. There's still hope. And this is most of the time done intentionally, even though they might not even realize they're doing it. They're practicing a form of manipulation. Um, this is very common, especially if this person still has, feelings for you. So, you need to watch out for that. It's what we call half and half. The main thing to ask yourself, um, if you should be friends with your ex. This is the number one answer, the number one question that you need to answer. And this is to ask yourself, if you knew 100% that there was absolutely no chance that you would get back together, would you still want to be friends with this person? And if the answer to that is yes, then maybe it's okay. But if the answer to that is no, if you knew 100% that you was not going to get back together, there's no chance, would you still want to be friends with them? And if the answer to that is no, then you may want to rethink, what you're accepting this as this relationship. Um, you don't pause your life to wait on someone else. Go on with your life, live your life. Um, Maybe you meet somebody new, maybe you don't. Um, but you don't put your life on hold waiting on this person to come back and love you and show you they want to be with you. That's a very bad idea. And it gives the other person the wrong idea that they can manipulate you anytime they please because you will always be there to beg them back. And they know all they have to do is just waltz in the door and say, "Here I am," and you're going to take them back. This leads to very bad relationships. It's a very bad form of manipulation, and trust me, you'll be very much more heartbroken by doing this than you will if you just end the relationship and leave it that way. Um, there's no need to invest your emotions in a dead relationship. If the relationship is dead on their end, then there's no need to you for you to keep investing your emotions in that relationship. It's not going to do you any good. It's going to invite much more heartache for you. So, put those emotions in a different place other than giving them all to this other person. Because in the end, it's just going to make your pain worse and make you feel, you know, a lot sadder than you do even today. Um, don't feel obligated. Don't feel obligated to respond to this person, to answer their text as soon as they text, and you're just texting right back. You know, you're they call at, you know, 11:30 at night, and you're picking up on the first ring. That proves to them that you're sitting there waiting on them to call. And this invites more heartache, more frustration, you know, uh, do not feel obligated to respond to this person. In fact, some relationships are much better off to cut off contact completely. So this is the best way you can heal in most cases is completely cut off contact. Now, like I said, if there's children involved, then that's a different story. But cutting off complete contact is hard to do, especially for somebody you have feelings for. It's also the fastest way to a healed heart. Uh, this is probably the number one way to heal is cut off contact. This will allow healing faster than anything else you'll ever do. Um, Another big problem with remaining friends with the ex is it's extremely likely that this is going to cause problems in your next relationship. Most people, when they start a new relationship, do not want to deal with the residual effects of a broken marriage or relationship, uh, especially if this ex is constantly in contact with you. You're constantly seeing this person, talking to this person. This is going to make your new relationship partner, in most cases, very uncomfortable, even though they may even tell you that they're okay with it. Most of the time, they're really not. If they had a choice between choosing if you had contact with your ex and if you didn't, believe me, the vast majority would prefer you didn't. This creates, issues. And please don't go to the you're insecure defense. It's not about being insecure. It's about boundaries. Um, you know, I would not want to get a relationship with someone who stays in constant contact with their ex and there's no children involved and no valid reason for this person to constantly be in contact with their ex. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about friendly. You can be friendly, of course, that's fine. It doesn't mean you have to hate each other just because you're exes, but you have to have healthy boundaries in place. Talking to your ex behind your new partner's back, hiding things like that, that's going to lead to some very bad things if you want to build a new relationship with someone else. This is a very bad thing to do. Um, you need to be straightforward and honest. And if you're not going to completely cut contact with your ex, make sure that your new partner knows about the contact. You're not hiding anything. You're not secretly texting or talking, and it should be held to a minimum. Friends don't talk to each other at midnight every night. Friends don't go out to eat together, you know, especially when they're the opposite sex. They don't go out to eat together every, you know, 3, 4 days a week. If you're doing this kind of thing and you're trying to build a new relationship, you're just shooting yourself in the foot because eventually this new person is probably going to not tolerate this kind of relationship. There needs to be healthy boundaries if you choose to remain friends with your ex. um, the other reason they like to stay friends is simply because they get all the benefits. You're still in their life. They don't have any commitment to you anymore. They can go see other people. They can do whatever they want to do. And you're still there to make them feel good about themselves. They still get to talk to you. So it's what's called a soft landing. They don't have to, they don't have to be, so heartbroken and distraught, even though they ended the relationship. It gives them a soft landing if they can still talk to you, be in your life, and it makes their pain a lot less and makes your pain a lot worse. So they get all the benefits without any of the commitment. Um, you're still there. You're still helping them through coping with losing the relationship, even though they're the one that ended it. Um, and this is very big for a lot of people. A lot of people practice this, and um, I don't even say that a lot of them are even doing it intentionally. It can be totally unintentional, but they are doing it. And it's your job to make sure that you understand what's happening so that you can heal from the relationship. Uh, I hope this helps for someone who is going through this. Hopefully you're not, but if you are, hopefully this advice will help you some. Uh, You can find us at trinityofchrist.org. If you'd like more information, you can also find us on Facebook. And this is part of our Infidelity and Intimacy series. And we will be releasing more videos on this subject in the near future. Again, my name is Mike with Trinity of Christ Ministries. And I thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.